My child, I know your day is already full, and I understand what it feels like to have your attention pulled in 100 directions. Maybe you just picked up your phone for a minute, thinking you'd check one thing, and somehow time kept slipping without you noticing. I see how carefully you guard your focus because you don't have much of it to spare. But I need you to stay with me here because this moment matters more than it seems, and love will not stay quiet when something important is being missed. There is a quiet pull around you right now, not loud or forceful, but steady and persistent. It shows up in the way you keep moving, even when your body feels tired and your thoughts feel crowded. You don't have to be shaken to be affected. You only need to stay busy enough that you never fully pause. That is how distraction works. It keeps you just occupied enough that you don't notice what's slowly shifting underneath. I am speaking now because I will not let you drift without first calling your attention back. What you are about to recognize has the power to wake something in you that has been dulled over time. When you begin to see clearly, you stop going along with what has been quietly draining you. That is why this moment feels urgent, not because something is wrong with you, but because you are closer than you realize to understanding what has been happening. I would not interrupt you like this if it did not truly matter. I know how rare it is for you to have a moment without noise, without demands, without something asking for your energy. That is exactly why I chose this moment, because what you haven't seen yet is already affecting how you feel. Love does not wait until the weight becomes unbearable before it speaks. Please don't tell yourself you will come back to this later. You know that voice. It sounds reasonable, calm, almost helpful. It tells you to wait until you're less tired, until your mind is clearer, until you have more space. But you have said later before, and it stretched into days, then weeks, and by the time you returned, the clarity you needed felt farther away than it should have. I am calling you into this moment not to rush you, but to protect you. Because not everything that pulls your attention deserves it, and not everything filling your time is harmless. Some of what keeps you occupied is quietly keeping you from noticing how your heart has been feeling, how your energy has been thinning, how your peace has felt just slightly out of reach. I am not here to accuse you. I am helping you see what has been happening so you can respond with awareness instead of habit. I see how much you carry, how you keep showing up even when your mind feels heavy and your chest feels tight for reasons you can't quite explain. But I also see how this has been affecting you in ways that are easy to overlook. You have been worn down slowly, not by chaos, but by constant noise. Not by one overwhelming moment, but by many small ones that never gave you space to breathe. That is why you feel tired in a way rest doesn't fully fix. Why there's a quiet heaviness in you even when nothing seems obviously wrong. This is not random. Stay here with me for a moment. Let everything else pause, even briefly. This message is not here to disturb you, but to protect what still matters inside you. Protection doesn't always feel comfortable. Sometimes it feels like being gently stopped in the middle of your momentum, like a voice asking you to look more closely. I am speaking to you because I love you, not because you have failed. You need to hear that clearly. This is not disappointment, it is care. If you were truly lost, I would not be this close, speaking to you in this way. You matter, and what is happening around you matters more than you realize. So don't scroll past this moment. What you don't notice can still affect you. Awareness is what keeps your heart steady. When you begin to understand what's been pulling at you, you can respond differently instead of feeling off without knowing why. I know part of you feels the urge to turn away, to go back to what feels easier, more familiar. Not because you don't care, but because this kind of honesty can feel heavy when you're already tired. But staying comfortable without seeing clearly will not hold you for long. What you are feeling right now, that slight tension, that quiet stirring inside you, that is not fear. That is recognition. Something in you can feel it, even if you haven't put it into words yet. There's a quiet awareness inside you that knows this moment carries weight, that this isn't just another message passing by on your screen. That's exactly why it's so easy to keep scrolling, to tell yourself you'll come back to it later, the same way you've done before. Because if you stay here, if you really listen, you'll start noticing patterns, connecting things you've been sensing but haven't fully faced. I'm not here to fill your mind with more information or give you something else to figure out. You've already had enough of that. too many thoughts, too many inputs, too many things asking for your attention at once. I'm here to help you see more clearly, not more heavily. Awareness, when it's guided with care, doesn't overwhelm you, it steadies you. You don't need to solve your whole life right now. You don't need to have answers or make decisions in this moment. Just stay a little longer, long enough to notice what's been quietly slipping past you in your day-to-day life. And if you feel it in your heart, you can simply say, I believe, Lord, even in the quiet, trusting that He is still working in ways you cannot always see. You've been carrying a lot for a long time. There have been days where you kept going even though your body felt drained. Nights where your mind wouldn't slow down even when everything around you was quiet. You stayed productive, you stayed responsible, even in moments when what you really needed was stillness. That kind of strength is real, and it matters. But it has also left you open in ways you may not have realized, because when your life is always moving, it becomes easier for subtle things to pull at you without being noticed. That's why I'm stepping in now, not to correct you, but to support you before that quiet exhaustion settles any deeper. I'm not upset with you for being busy, and I'm not disappointed that your attention has been scattered. I see how much is constantly competing for your focus. Messages, responsibilities, expectations that never fully pause. That's exactly why I'm speaking with urgency, not to pressure you, but to reach you before weariness turns into something heavier. Stay here for a moment. Let your breathing slow down, even just a little. You don't have to react, you don't have to make sense of everything. You only need to listen, because even listening begins to protect you in ways you may not realize yet. I know there's a part of you that wants to brush this off, to tell yourself it's a bit too much, maybe even a little dramatic. It would be easier to move on, to go back to what feels normal. But the moments that cause the most damage are rarely loud or obvious. They are the quiet ones, where everything seems fine, yet something inside you is slowly drifting. I'm speaking now because I care about you too much to let that drift go unnoticed. You're not alone in this, even if it feels like you've been carrying everything by yourself. I'm close to you, not distant, not observing from far away, but right here, speaking gently to your heart because you are worth being reached like this. So stay with me. This isn't meant to frighten you or weigh you down. It's here to steady you, to bring you back into clarity, to help you see what has been blurred by everything else competing for your attention. Don't scroll past this. Stay. What you do with this moment matters more than you think. My child, I see how full your life has become. The packed schedule, the constant notifications, the feeling that there's always something else waiting for you. I see how your thoughts keep moving even when you try to rest, how your days blend together, and even your quiet moments don't fully feel like rest anymore. I know you didn't expect to be interrupted like this today, and I truly understand how valuable your time feels right now. Every minute matters to you, and I don't take that lightly. That's why I need you to hear this clearly. I'm not stepping in because you've done something wrong. I'm not here to criticize you or add more weight to what you're already carrying. I'm here because I love you. And love doesn't always wait for the perfect moment. It steps in when something needs to be protected. I see how hard you try to hold everything together, how much effort it takes just to keep going. There are things you carry that no one else sees. You solve problems quietly. You show up even when you're tired. And you keep moving even when something inside you feels stretched thin. I see that, and it matters. I'm not here to take away your strength. I'm here because you've been carrying too much of it alone. And I know this interruption might feel like just one more thing you don't have space for, one more voice when your mind is already full. But listen closely. This isn't another demand. It's an invitation. I'm not asking you to add anything to your life. I'm asking you to pause, because continuing forward without awareness will cost you more than taking a moment to be present right now. Sometimes comfort feels good on the surface, but it can quietly dull your ability to notice what's really happening underneath. And when life keeps moving fast, it becomes easy to stop noticing yourself altogether. When your life keeps moving at this pace, it becomes easy to lose touch with what's happening inside you. You move from one thing to the next, and somewhere along the way, you stop noticing the quiet signals within your own heart. Maybe you've felt it. Those moments when something feels off, but you can't quite explain why, so you just keep going. I'm interrupting you now not to take anything from your peace, but to protect what's still there. I'm not placing blame on you for being busy. I see how much this world asks of you, how everything seems to compete for your attention at once, your time, your energy, even your emotions. It's easy to get pulled along without realizing how much it's taking from you. That's why I'm stepping in gently but clearly, before tiredness settles into something deeper, before exhaustion turns into numbness. This is not me pointing out your mistakes. This is me reaching toward you, asking you to come closer for a moment. Let me show you what's harder to see when you're constantly in motion. You are not failing, and you are not in trouble. You are cared for enough to be warned before something quiet takes root. I know there's a part of you that feels a sense of guilt even hearing this. You might be thinking you should be doing more, giving more, being more consistent somehow. But that weight you feel, that pressure, is not coming from me. Guilt creates distance while love draws you back in, closer, steadier. I'm not here to push you into awareness through shame. I'm inviting you into a place where you can feel safe enough to slow down. I see how tired your soul has been, even if your body keeps moving and your responsibilities never pause. I see the kind of weariness you don't always talk about, the way your joy hasn't felt as full, the way your peace feels easier to shake. None of this makes you weak. It makes you human, and it tells me this moment matters more than you realize. I would not step into your day like this if it wasn't important. There are times when waiting feels easier, but in truth, it allows something deeper to continue unnoticed. And this is one of those times. If you keep pushing forward without pausing, you may never notice what's quietly pulling at you from behind. And I know the instinct right now might be to rush through this, to return to everything waiting for you. But stay here just a little longer, long enough to take a real breath, long enough to let your shoulders soften and your thoughts slow down. I'm not here to overwhelm you or give you more to carry. I'm here to bring your awareness back to you, because awareness gives you the ability to choose. And when you can choose, you begin to move with clarity instead of pressure. You care deeply about being responsible, dependable, and productive. Those are good things, and they matter. But when they begin to take the place of rest, of connection, of listening, they start to weigh on you in ways you weren't meant to carry. That's why I'm stepping in now, so you don't lose yourself while trying to hold everything else together. This moment isn't about fixing your whole life or making big changes all at once. It's about seeing clearly what's been happening underneath the surface of your busy days. I'm here with you right now, not distant, not demanding, not disappointed. I'm speaking gently, even with urgency, because urgency can still be kind. It can still be careful, and it can still remind you that you matter more than the pace you've been trying to keep. I want you to feel safe enough to stop for a moment. Safe enough to admit that you're tired, without needing to justify it. Safe enough to listen without feeling like you have to defend yourself or explain anything. I'm not asking you to walk away from your responsibilities. I'm asking you to let me walk with you in them, to help carry what has started to feel too heavy on your own. You've been strong for a long time, and you've learned how to keep going no matter what. But strength without rest slowly turns into strain, and I'm reaching you now, before that strain becomes something harder to recover from. Please don't see this as just another voice trying to get your attention. I know how many things are already asking for your time, how quickly your focus gets pulled from one place to another. See this instead as a moment that's here to give something back to you, not take more from you. I'm not competing with your life. I'm already part of it, and I want to walk with you through it, not wait until you're completely worn down before reaching you. Stay here with me for a moment. Let this interruption feel like a small space where everything else quiets down, even if just for a little while. Let it remind you that you're not moving through all of this alone, even on the days when it feels that way. You are seen more clearly than you realize. You are cared for more deeply than you feel, and you are being protected in ways you may not always notice. I'm speaking to you gently and clearly because you matter more than your schedule, more than everything that keeps filling your day. And as long as you're willing to stay and listen, I will keep meeting you here, not to overwhelm you, but to guide you back into clarity, one moment at a time. My child, I want you to understand something about what's happening right now. This is not about fear. and it's not about making you question everything around you. It's about helping you see what is already happening so you don't remain unaware. Awareness brings light, and light has a way of revealing what was easy to overlook before. The pull you're feeling is not loud or dramatic. It doesn't show up as chaos or something obvious you can point to. It's much quieter than that. It shows up in small decisions, like telling yourself you'll come back to this later, or scrolling just a little longer even when you feel that nudge to stop. Delay can feel harmless. It sounds reasonable, almost comforting, like you're just giving yourself space. It tells you there's no urgency, that this moment can wait, that you have more important things to get back to. But that's exactly why it works. It doesn't feel like resistance, even though it slowly moves you further from what you need to hear. Nothing has to be taken from you forcefully if your attention is already scattered. You don't have to fall apart for something to affect you. Sometimes it's enough to stay on autopilot, moving through your day without ever fully noticing what's going on inside you. And in that state, it becomes easier to carry things you were never meant to hold. Scrolling past something like this can feel like nothing, just a quick movement, a small choice. But often it's a quiet way of stepping away from something meaningful before it has time to reach you. Not because you're resisting on purpose, but because when you're already tired, anything deeper can feel like too much to take in. There's a reason it feels easier to stay busy than to sit with what's been building inside you. When your mind is full and your energy is low, even a moment of stillness can feel uncomfortable. So the noise continues, the pace continues, and this moment begins to feel optional instead of important. But the truth is, nothing needs to stop me from speaking if you simply don't stay long enough to listen. That's how subtle this becomes. It's not about taking anything from you, it's about keeping you just distracted enough that you never fully receive what's being offered. Because awareness changes everything. When you begin to notice what's been pulling at you, you stop going along with it without question. You start to recognize patterns, like how often you push through when you're already drained, or how quickly you reach for distraction when something inside you feels unsettled. That awareness brings your choices back into your hands. And that's why this moment matters so much. You've already felt it in small ways. That sense that something isn't quite right. That quiet pressure that doesn't fully go away. That feeling of being busy but not at peace. Those feelings are not random. They are signals trying to get your attention before they fade into the background again. And the longer they are ignored, the easier it becomes to believe they were never important to begin with. I want you to understand this clearly, without fear. Nothing has control over you. Nothing is forcing you or taking your ability to choose. But when you're unaware, it becomes easier to go along with things that slowly weigh you down. Awareness breaks that pattern. It brings you back into honesty, into stillness, into a place where you can actually see what's been shaping your days. And it's that stillness, not noise, not movement, that reveals what is true. That is why this moment matters as much as it does. Right now, stillness and honesty are closer to you than you think. And delay is the one thing that keeps you from connecting what you've been feeling with what's actually causing it. It keeps you from understanding why you've been so tired lately, why your joy hasn't felt as full, why your peace feels easier to lose. And instead of seeing what's really happening, you end up turning that weight inward, wondering if something is wrong with you. But awareness changes that. It shifts you out of self-blame and into understanding. And understanding opens the door to freedom. That's why it's so easy to dismiss a moment like this, to tell yourself it's too much or that it doesn't really apply to you, even when something in you quietly knows it does. Minimizing what's true can feel like relief in the moment. It lets you stay where things are familiar, where nothing has to change right away. But it also keeps you from seeing clearly. And I'm not saying this to make you question everything or feel uneasy about every thought or distraction around you. I'm saying this so you can see with clarity, because clear sight doesn't overwhelm you, it steadies you. When you understand what's been influencing you, you stop reacting without thinking, and you begin to move with intention instead of pressure. You may have noticed how hard it's been to focus lately, how even a quiet moment feels uncomfortable, like you need to reach for your phone or fill the silence with something. That isn't happening because you lack strength. It's happening because something is keeping you from sitting long enough to hear what your heart has been trying to say. It's easier to stay busy than to ask deeper questions. Easier to keep going than to pause and notice patterns that have been repeating. But staying in that constant motion keeps you functioning without ever really restoring what's been worn down inside you. That's why distraction works so quietly. It doesn't stop your life, it just creates distance within it. You keep going, you keep showing up, but something in you feels farther away, harder to reach, a little less clear than it used to be. I want you to stay alert, not overwhelmed. Alertness is calm, it doesn't rush you or pressure you. It simply allows you to notice, to see what's happening without immediately reacting to it. I'm not asking you to fight anything right now. I'm asking you to see. And if you feel it in your heart, you can respond in a simple way. Jesus, you have all of me. As a quiet act of surrender even in this moment. Because seeing is what begins to break the cycle. When you notice the pull toward distraction, you can choose not to follow it automatically. When you recognize the habit of delay, you can pause and respond differently. And when you realize how often noise has kept you from truly listening, you begin to understand that stillness is not something to avoid. It's something that restores you. This moment may feel optional, like something you can come back to later. But I'm telling you, it's here to protect you. Not because everything around you is dangerous, but because something true is very close. And truth often meets quiet resistance when it begins to surface. That resistance doesn't mean something is wrong. It means something meaningful is happening. You don't need to become stronger to face this, you simply need to stay aware. Awareness brings you back into alignment with me, and from that place, peace begins to settle again. Clarity returns, and with it, a steadiness that makes it harder for anything to quietly pull you away. I know how much is asking for your attention right now, and I know that pausing can feel almost selfish when there's so much to do. But this pause isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can't keep pouring from a place that has been slowly drained without realizing it. And I'm helping you notice that drain so it can finally begin to close. There's no need to be afraid. Fear only gives more weight to what doesn't deserve it. All you need to do is stay aware, to not rush past this moment, to not tell yourself it doesn't matter. Stay here just a little longer. Let this awareness settle into you without pressure, without panic. You are not in danger. You are being cared for. You are not being attacked. You are being invited to see clearly again. This moment could have been easy to pass by, but you didn't, and that matters. Not because you forced anything, but because you stayed. And staying allows truth to reach you in a way that is steady, gentle, and complete. So remain here with me. As your awareness grows, the pull of distraction will begin to lose its hold on you. My child, I need you to take this seriously, but I don't want you to feel afraid. Distraction carries more weight than it seems. Not because it's loud or obvious, but because it works quietly through the rhythm of your everyday life. It looks like your normal routine, the way your days unfold, blending in so naturally that you don't always notice what it's slowly taking from you. That's why I'm speaking to you clearly now. What feels subtle can sometimes shape you more than what feels sudden. Distraction softens your discernment, the part of you that recognizes what is true, what brings peace, and what pulls you away from it. When that sensitivity is clear, you can sense when something isn't right, even before you fully understand it. But when that sensitivity dulls, everything starts to blur together. What matters and what doesn't begin to feel the same, and your attention gets scattered without you realizing it. It happens slowly, in small, almost invisible shifts, like reaching for your phone without thinking, filling quiet moments just to avoid silence, moving from one task to another while telling yourself you'll rest later. And over time your mind feels full, but something inside you feels empty. Not because you don't care, but because you're tired in a deeper way. You keep showing up, you keep going, but something in you feels less alive than it used to. Joy feels thinner, peace feels more fragile, and you begin to accept that weight as normal. This is how numbness settles in, quietly, gently. And those who carry a lot, who stay busy and keep moving no matter what, are especially vulnerable to it. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because constant motion leaves little space to notice what's happening within. When you're always moving, you don't notice when you begin to drift. When you're always responding, you lose the habit of listening. and slowly your life becomes more reactive than intentional. That drift rarely feels dangerous in the moment, but over time, it creates distance you didn't mean to create. You may have felt it, the way it's harder to sense my guidance, the way your decisions feel less clear, the way your peace doesn't feel as steady. That isn't because I've moved away from you. It's because your attention has been pulled in too many directions. When your focus is scattered, everything feels unclear. But when you create space again, clarity begins to return. Your spirit, like your body, needs rest. It needs stillness to recognize truth. Without that stillness, you begin to rely only on what feels urgent, reacting quickly instead of listening deeply. And over time, something shifts. Instead of asking, "Is this from me?" you begin asking, "What do I need to do next?" Your life becomes driven by demands instead of guided by truth. That shift may feel small, but it changes everything. I don't want you to lose your sensitivity. It's not a weakness, it's a gift. It allows you to sense what is right before it becomes obvious, to feel my guidance even in quiet moments. But distraction dulls that sensitivity, and you may have already felt that, like something inside you has gone quieter. The fact that you're here, still listening, is not random. It's your spirit recognizing something real before that numbness settles in deeper. I'm not asking you to remove every source of noise. I'm asking you to stop letting noise replace listening. Even small moments of stillness, when you're not scrolling, not reacting, not filling the space, those moments matter. This isn't about doing more, it's about noticing more. Noticing when your heart feels heavy, when your peace feels thin, when you're moving too fast to even feel what's happening inside you. These are not signs of failure, they are invitations to return. You are not lost. You've been drifting, and drifting can be corrected. It doesn't require force or drastic change. It begins with awareness, with a willingness to pause and listen again. Stay here for a moment. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't have to change your whole life at once. You only need to see clearly what has been happening so you can begin choosing presence again. I am here with you, close, steady, patient. I'm speaking because I love you too much to let you grow numb without noticing. So listen, not with fear, but with honesty. Your clarity can return, your sensitivity can be restored, your peace can deepen. And it begins here, by seeing distraction for what it is and choosing to stay present with me. Let the noise fall back even for a moment. Let your heart breathe again. This is not here to weigh you down, it's here to gently wake you. And I want to lift something from you now. You are not failing because your life feels full. You are not disappointing me because your days are busy. That weight you've been carrying, the thought that you should be doing more or being better, that does not come from me. What you've been feeling is not a lack of devotion. It's the result of a quiet pull on your attention, something that has been making everything feel heavier than it should. You've been blaming yourself for what you didn't fully see. Being busy is not the problem. The real issue is the constant pull that fragments your attention and fills every empty space. There is a difference between responsibility and distraction. Responsibility may tire you, but it carries meaning. Distraction drains you and leaves you empty in a way rest doesn't fix. You have real responsibilities, and I see how faithfully you carry them. But alongside them, there has been another pull, one that makes it harder to rest, harder to focus, harder to be still. That's why you feel tired even after sleeping. That's why your mind feels crowded, even in quiet moments. That's why stillness feels uncomfortable. It's not because you're weak. It's because something has been competing for your attention constantly, and that kind of pressure always creates strain. If you feel it in your heart, you can simply say, "Amen. You restored my joy." And if this message has touched you, share it with someone who may need it too.